I tried. I really, really tried, but I could not resist commenting on this. Emmanuel Acho may have uttered. Now, look, I get we live in a time where idiocracy is real. You add social media to that, you add everyone trying to get heard, which I completely understand. I struggle with that myself when I'm writing titles and making thumbnails. It's got to stand out to get your attention. So you'll stop scrolling and check it out. And then hopefully you enjoy what you see. So I get all that. But man, sometimes there is a bad take that is so bad that I got to put this up there with quite possibly one of the dumbest sports takes I have ever heard. And no, it's not about Jalen Hurts. It's actually about Shedeur Sanders, but it is worth listening to. And this is wild. The player, I don't care that he, didn't play much in the pros. A lot of people give him a hard time for that when he makes certain comments, and I get it. But just the fact that he played as an athlete, which means he had coaches throughout his life, to make a comment like this and make it for a rookie quarterback, a quarterback who just finished his rookie year, is absolutely insane. So we're going to take a listen. It's only about a minute long. Take a listen, talk about it. I'm curious what you all think as well. By the way, thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. Do me a favor, if you are enjoying the content, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm sure you've heard it a million times by now on YouTube. But anyway, here we go.
Because any expectation for Shedeur Sanders under Todd Monken, I believe, will lead to disappointment. There is nothing about Todd Monken as a head coach that should get you excited. As an offensive coordinator, you could say Lamar Jackson had an MVP season under Todd Monken. As an offensive coordinator, Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions under Todd Monken. As an offensive coordinator, you can make arguments under Todd Monken. Stetson Bennett won 2 national championships at Georgia under Todd Monken. But as a head coach, no. Nothing about Todd Monken as a head man gets me excited. I need to see who the offensive coordinator is going to be. That's what I need to see. But what I don't yet see, T, is like, how is Todd Monken going to command that locker room, command that group of men? And also, if I'm Shedeur or anybody in that locker room, why am I listening to Todd Monken? What have you won on an NFL level as a head coach? You're not even a head coach on an NFL level. So I don't even have expectations for Shedeur under Todd Monken, because I believe any expectations I would have, he would not meet. Because why am I excited about it, T? Why?
Wow, so much stupid to unpack here, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to be harsh. And Acho has had takes on certain things that I agree with, but this is just out and out stupid to sit here and say a guy that's been what, I don't know, 30 years of coaching experience, something like that. Uh, I think like we'll go, yeah, okay. So here we go. Started all the way as a graduate assistant back in 1989. Lots of college experience, lots of pro experience, has gone back and forth. He's been defensive backs, wide receivers, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, passing game coordinator, wide receivers in the NFL as well. Coordinator, again, 2 national championships as an offensive coordinator in college football, head coach in college football, offensive coordinator in the NFL with the Buccaneers, with the Browns, with the Ravens, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks with Georgia. Todd Monken has a ton of experience in all aspects of coaching in the NFL. And as Acho actually pointed out himself, which is what shocking that he pointed out some of the things he said and then went in the direction of why should this quarterback, who, by the way, had a rookie year, and look, this isn't about Shedeur, so understand I'm not trying to be critical of Shedeur Sanders, as he's a topic that's very difficult to talk about. I'm just trying to put it into perspective for Todd Monken. As you have a guy who's basically, before I get to that, I was say, right, this is Lamar Jackson last year. And look, I'm one of those. Lamar Jackson was the legit MVP last year. Should not have been Josh Allen. Led the league in all, like, what, almost everything. TD percentages, yards per attempt, passer rating, QBR. The man threw for 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, and on and on and on. That was with Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. So obviously he's done something with quarterbacks. He has a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator, a lot of experience with working with quarterbacks. So for Emmanuel Acho, and like I said, starting as a graduate assistant, been involved in coaching since 1989. And you're going to tell me a guy who, by the way, until this year, basically has only ever had his dad as his coach. So where he knew he was never going to get benched, he knew he was never going to, suffer consequences in that way his entire career. You're going to tell this guy who wants to be an NFL quarterback that because, by the way, who also hasn't won anything, right? Forget the NFL level. Hasn't won, where was the national championship at Colorado? Exactly. So you're going to tell this quarterback who's never won anything, who's only been coached by his dad until his rookie year, to not listen to his head coach because his head coach hasn't won anything as a head coach in the NFL level, despite this incredible resume that he has, all this experience and these successes, and working with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, who had a lot of success in the short time that Todd Monken was his offensive coordinator. I mean, he was this year as well. But obviously, this year Lamar Jackson had working through injuries and everything. So we really had 2 years. And even the year before, Lamar Jackson, almost 3,700 yards, 24 TDs, 7 interceptions, 8.0 yards per attempt. All three of these past seasons with Todd Monken, his yards per attempt were higher than his average for his career. So for Emmanuel Acho to sit here and tell a quarterback who just finished his rookie year, don't even get me into the Pro Bowl stuff. And again, Shedeur Sanders didn't make those picks, so it's not a criticism of him, but that was absurd. A guy who played, about half the season through 7 TDs, 10 interceptions. And hey, there have been great quarterbacks with worse rookie years. I'm just putting into perspective that guy, you're sitting here telling him, hey, don't listen to your head coach because despite all of his experience, he hasn't won anything as a head coach in the NFL. Do you realize if you think this through, which Emmanuel Acho obviously has not done, I mean, we could look at some of these offensive wizards, in the NFL now, who are also very young, going into head coaching positions with no experience whatsoever, right? No experience whatsoever as a head coach. You're basically saying none of them should be listened to, should have been listened to either, right, Acho? And by the way, how do you get to at some point, right? Like everyone gets older and ages out. How do you get new coaches if you're going to tell basically what you're telling all the players is don't listen to a guy who hasn't been a head coach or hasn't had any success as a head coach when he comes into a job? It is some of the most ridiculously stupid stuff he said. So again, he's saying Shedeur Sanders, don't listen to Todd Monken. What has he ever won? I would say Todd Monken, don't listen to anything Shedeur Sanders says because what has he ever won? This is absolutely insane. As I said, Shedeur never coached by anyone but his dad, who's been his head coach, I think, at every level until last year. So this is a player who never had to listen to anyone. And that's why you get, I think, a big part of the debacle with the draft and what big part of the reason he fell to the fifth round. Now you can get into all maybe was there collusion or wasn't there this and that, but everyone who's been involved in the process, from what I've seen, there's pretty much agreement that the pre-draft interview process was an absolute disaster for Shedeur Sanders. And I think that a lot of that comes from the fact that he only had Dion as his head coach all there. So now he's got an opportunity. He's got a new coach coming in, a new coach who obviously has had success as an offensive coordinator, which means he's had success with quarterbacks on the college level, on the pro level, different systems, different style quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders should be excited about this. Shedeur Sanders should be ready to listen and soak up everything that Todd Monken says to him. And they could, hey, man, again, I just talked about how his rookie year wasn't that great, but we have no idea what that means. This could be a dynamic duo for the next 10 to 15 years in the NFL where they grow together and they learn together and they become one of those pairings that everyone talks about, right? Oh man, I just blank. Oh, Walsh. I couldn't think of, what was it? Bill Walsh and Joe Montana, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and you know the deal. Those guys that get connected like that. So this is absolutely absurd to tell a player, don't listen to your head coach is coming in because he's never won anything at the NFL level. Absolutely one of the most absurd, one of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard. This is a problem where we have so many players getting involved. No offense to players, but so many players getting involved. And these are a lot of times the type of takes that you get because this isn't really their strength. And it is great when you get the players and they can bring certain insight because they were in the locker rooms and stuff. This is not that. It's a shame. This is the problem. This is the type of stuff we got to clean up with sports media. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out the video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you later.